So, this is just outright depressing. I don't know what else to say about it. Donald Trump is ramping up the deportations on people who primarily don't align with him politically. That's going to be the most convenient for the Republicans factor in all of this deportation nonsense he's been pushing for. They don't necessarily all want every immigrant gone from the country. Many of them are just lying grifters, pandering to racists and nationalists, trying to hold their support. What they really want is to be able to use this as an opportunity to root out voters that, or even just people in this country that can influence voters that don't like the Republicans, that don't like MAGA and specifically Trump, and to get them out of America so they no longer have any influence, any power. Many people that have been deported are not illegal immigrants. Many of them were legal citizens. And so we're in a situation now where Donald Trump and MAGA and his administration and ICE are just basically going full fascist secret police. There's really no other way to put it. I'm not going to mince my words. I'm not going to soften my speech or be politically correct about this. Donald Trump is doing like step one, like point one in a genocide. It may go no further than this. God, I hope it goes no further than this. But I saw a quote, I think it was from Walter Masterson today. He said, very simply, I just want to remind all of you, Auschwitz isn't in Germany. And if you know what that means, then good. I'm glad. And what I presume he's referencing is the fact that just because we're not building death camps and mass prisons here on American soil, well, the biggest death camp of the Holocaust wasn't on German soil. Like, we're sending immigrants over to Argentina and shit like that, to mega prisons and over to Guantanamo, to U.S. soil or non-U.S. soil black sites, where there are no rules and the law of the U.S. doesn't apply to the U.S. There is El Salvador, my bad. I don't know why I thought it was Argentina. El Salvador. That rings eerily similar to the Holocaust, is all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's going to go all the way to the same exact level as the Holocaust, but it feels like it has to go that far, right? Yeah, it's in Poland, but like I said, just because the camps and the mass prisons and the massive amounts of incarceration of immigrants is not necessarily going to happen on American soil, at least it isn't right now, not in the quantities that Trump is pushing for overseas, doesn't mean that America is not leading up to potentially a genocide. And you can call that an exaggeration, but after seeing where things have gone in only the last 4 months, I don't think you can honestly say that I'm exaggerating. Like, good lord, look at where we're at this point. Now, I've got a video here by Hank Green, one of the two Green brothers, and it's called "The Palestinian Buddhist Arrested by ICE." Now, I have not actually seen Hank Green talk politics, like, in depth, just saying, you know what, we gotta go after Trump and the Republicans. He has debunked misinformation that comes from the right. He's very clearly progressive. He's very clearly, like, not in favor of Trump, but he does this sort of, like, I want to be a trustworthy figure who is always doing research and telling the truth and talking about topics where you know that I am, informing you truthfully. And I'm going to avoid issues of bias or political partisanship so that people know I am a figure who is, for the most part, to be trusted when trying to inform people. I think that matters a lot because now he's coming out with a video that seems to be explicitly calling out Trump and the Republicans in power right now, and with an audience of people who aren't necessarily super left or right leaning, but, probably fall all over the political spectrum. they no doubt trust Hank Green and see him as a smart person who is worth taking seriously. So when he comes out with a bunch of criticisms towards the right, I think that matters a lot. Though I could be wrong. I really want to check out this video, or at least a little bit of it. The link to the original video will be down below in the description when this goes out on YouTube as its own thing, so make sure you go send some support to Hank Green. But in the meantime, what is going on with this Palestinian Buddhist who's been arrested by ICE? Because we're seeing arrests constantly. I want to know what about this situation makes it extra awful.
Just a few days ago, on April 14th, Mohsen Madawi, a Palestinian student and long-term U.S. resident, was arrested by Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents at the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services office in Colchester, Vermont. He had had a green card since 2015 and arrived at the office expecting to complete his naturalization interview, which is a significant step toward U.S. citizenship. Instead, he was detained by ICE officers, some of whom had their faces covered, and he was taken somewhere. But the Trump administration...
Yeah, so this has been a really, really common occurrence from what I've heard, is that they're like basically black bagging people who come in to follow the standard procedure in their immigration process. If you are a legal immigrant and you go in and voluntarily put yourself in the lines of those whose job it is to enforce immigration law, they don't care that you're there to do everything by the book as you always have. You might come out in handcuffs on your way to be shipped off overseas to somewhere, a country you've never been to before, where you don't know anyone, to be kept in some holding facility or black site.
Administration's attempts to move him to a jurisdiction with a more friendly judge was interrupted. Madawi, a philosophy student at Columbia University, was set to graduate in May and had been accepted into a master's program at Columbia School of International and Public Affairs. He co-founded the Palestinian Student Union at Columbia and was known for organizing peaceful protests. He was also known on campus as a person who was building systems for Palestinians and Israeli students to come together and actually talk with each other. Mohsen Madawi has not been accused of...
Keep in mind, they've been going after a lot of activists leading pro-Palestine protests. It's really so fucking tragic to see a movement that is so that was like so. I have criticisms of a lot of the people in the movement, but it's of the worst bad apples, right? Like the worst of the worst bad apples. For the most part, people marching and protesting against Israel and in favor of Palestinians and like people in Gaza are in the right. They are morally upstanding, good people with the just generally correct opinion about the situation. Like, yeah, no shit, Israel should not be murdering and genociding Palestinians and targeting hospitals and schools and areas where children, sick, and elderly are, right? They should not be leveling Palestine. They should not be trying to conquer its land, right? And so a lot of these protesters are protesting and raising awareness about a very awful thing that should be pushed against. But one of the most frequently occurring flaws I found in this movement, even among those that are just like your normal average, like pro-Palestine protester, they're not like super radical or they're not one of those bad apples I was talking about, was a hyper criticism of the Democrats for not doing whatever arbitrary standard meant it was enough for them to be happy with what the Democrats did around Israel and Palestine. Some of them set standards that could never be met, and if Biden didn't do this or that, then they would never support him. They came up with all sorts of creative nicknames for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, like Genocide Joe and Holocaust Harris. And then Harris lost. Then Harris lost the election. Now Trump is in power, and more Palestinians than ever are going to die. And not only that, but if you're Palestinian and you're here in America, you're not safe. They're coming for you. They're specifically targeting you now. If you're one of those like super radical, like college protesters now, they're coming for you. The people who you called Genocide Joe and Holocaust Harris tried to stop this guy from winning. You argued he should, or at least let him win, and now he's trying to deport you. That is a tragic line of events. Genuinely.
crime. Instead, his status has been revoked because of his speech. And when I read about this, there was a quote in the article from one of the Israelis that Mohsen had reached out to have these dialogues. His name is Mikey Baratz, a recent graduate of Columbia with a master's in international affairs, and I thought it might be interesting to talk to Mikey Baratz, so I asked on Blue Sky if anybody could put me in touch with him, and amazingly, I got an email from his old improv teacher introducing us. So here we are.
Yeah, because I won't support genocide no matter what. The fake left wanted the stupid Dems instead of the Workers' Party, even after they screwed Bernie. Well, Underhill, you can say fake left or whatever. I mean, that's all fine and good, but, like, now Trump's in power, and they're shipping all the pro-Palestine protesters off to why am I blanking on it right now? Where is it that that he's shipping people to? El Salvador. So, like, you can say I won't support genocide no matter what, but now you might die in an El Salvadorian prison, okay? Like, that, I can't, like, I can't change that fact, all right? Like, I'm not trying to argue with you here. I'm just saying, like, they're coming to take you away now. You let the Nazi guy win, okay? It's just as simple as that.
Mikey, on short notice, on your vacation. Hi.
Hi, good to talk to you.
Where do we find you?
I'm in Vietnam at the moment. I decided to treat myself for 4 months of travel in Asia. Some could say an escape. After graduating in December, and but you know, things follow you.
Things follow you. So how are you? How are you doing?
It's strange times, you know. From what I've heard through the grapevine, through his lawyer, is that he's in good spirits. He's doing all right. You know, this isn't, you know, one could say this isn't ideal. But when he and I spoke a few weeks ago, he, you know, was taking precautions. He knew this was a possibility. I think he was emotionally preparing himself. Yeah, I did see he had done that interview with CBS where, you know, he knew this was a possibility. You know, well, the one thing I will say about Mohsen is that he's...
There's no third-party movement, Underhill, because the progressive left is an infinitesimally small part of the American electorate. Keep in mind, by the way, Underhill, that of, like, American voters, the majority of them favored mass deportations. And mass deportations was the #1 favored policy in this election. Americans cared about immigration and then the economy. Those were the two biggest issues they gave a fuck about. Palestine was so far down the list, it's not even funny. Even 5 to 8 third-party members in Congress would hold the whole thing. If you wanted to save the nation, you had a chance. It just doesn't work. No, there aren't leftists in this country. Like, I know online it's easy to think there are leftists in this country, but it is such a small group. There is no support base for a third party. If there was, they would get enough votes. It's that simple. They would take the form of the second party that overtakes the Democrats if they had enough support. But they don't.
You know, I don't know how much you know about his backstory, but he's been through
gotta vote Dem.
Through hell in his life, and he's one of the most resilient human beings I've ever met. Like, this is far from the worst thing that's happened to him. He has survived much worse. He's super resilient. He's a long-time practicing Buddhist. So I am, like, finding comfort in knowing that he's in his strength.
Did you know who Mohsen was before you became friends?
No, not at all. So
You had Stein at a minimum? Dog, I'm not arguing with you about, like, I can argue with you about how Jill Stein's literally, like, a Russian asset and whatnot, but, like, it doesn't matter. She didn't get enough votes. Either you're not American or you don't know how the American electoral system works, or both. We don't have, like, they just didn't get enough votes. I don't know what to tell you. I can't change reality. Reality is what it is. It is what it is.
A little bit of background on me. So I'm originally from Israel, moved to the States when I was 12. I'm a dual citizen. And I went to Columbia to do a master's in international affairs and international security policy and conflict resolution. After October 7th, like all Israelis, was in a lot of pain. But I found that the level of dialogue on Columbia's campus in the country at large was lacking on both sides. And so I, out of curiosity, went into the encampment and was talking to people in the camp, talking to other Palestinians or also non-Palestinians just about their experience, trying to share my experience. And, you know, as many things do, at the moment it felt kind of fruitless. And then...
I mean, did it feel... I don't know that I would have had the courage to do that personally.
I grew up during the Intifada in Israel. I grew up kind of in a war zone, if you will. So some people, like, yelling things and holding up signs doesn't really
Sure.
That's not danger to me. I think we've kind of corrupted the use of the word, in many elements, kind of corrupted the use of the words like uncomfortable to mean unsafe. And I think the two things are different. So no, at no point I didn't feel scared. I mean, it was weird.
I often, I don't know about you, avoid situations where I even feel uncomfortable. But I guess you are in international affairs.
I really do respect the fuck out of these journalists, dude. Like, I really do think that, like, if you're, like, Dylan Burns and all these, like, the journalists that are going on the ground to report on what's happening in Ukraine, like, on the ground, like, putting themselves in a war zone. Like, Dylan Burns has been, God, I haven't kept up as much, so it's possible the number's gone up. He's survived at least 2 instances of Russia dropping bombs on his position where he is with a completely unarmed non-combat group of, like, journalists and aid workers. Like, Russia has tried to bomb his position, like, actively targeted and bombed his position multiple times, and then lied in their media cycle, claiming that their group were armed insurgents that were a valid target. Like, he has been bombed, and then the next day seen the videos where Russia is in their media cycle, in their state-sponsored media, propagandizing it and covering for themselves, saying these weren't journalists, these weren't aid workers, the Western media will say they were, but they were really armed insurgents. So supposedly, according to the Russian military, Dylan Burns was literally out there, like, looking to take out some Russians. No, not really. But, like, I really... just ridiculous amounts of support for all the journalists that are going out there to cover the horrific shit that's happening. Obviously, he said he's not putting himself in danger, but I think it's just a matter of, like, when you're on the ground for some of what are going to be the biggest historical events of this century, there's a good chance shit's gonna get fucking crazy and you can't predict what's gonna happen.
In conflict resolution, so
yeah,
maybe
I think I might have a bit of an addiction to being uncomfortable.
Okay, that's good. We need people like you.
I'm glad it has some use. But long story short, basically months later, people who I talked to during those months contacted me like, hey.
So you had gone in and had these conversations.
I'd gone in and had these conversations. I felt like I learned. I felt like I had stretched my dialogue muscles, but
you hadn't saved the world if you hadn't.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
No, not yet. We're working on it. But we are working on it because in September, two of those people texted me and they're like, "Hey, there's someone who was a leader in the movement who is looking to talk to Israelis specifically. He wants to find someone who has like studied international affairs and security, and who are interested in dialogue. And we thought of you. Like, would you be interested in meeting him?" So to me, obviously, the answer was an immediate yes. And it's funny because I had a lot of these conversations, but it had never been like a date, if you will. And we like scheduled a coffee meeting, and I'm waiting at the like grad student coffee set like cafe and waiting for him. And
are you nervous? Yeah,
I'm more nervous than I was going in the camp. I was really nervous, just because you don't know. And like, this is an actual person from Palestine. Like, I didn't even know his background. I just knew like this is a like actual Palestinian. Like, how's he gonna see me? Like, we like get a coffee, and obviously we do the whole like I'll pay like thing, like a date. It's like it's weird man platonic,
weird man platonic international relations date.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Delancey.
And I have to say, within 15 minutes, it was like we were best friends. The guy's amazing.
What was your first impression?
His demeanor. He is unbelievably like. Here's how I'll put it. A lot of people like use the lingo of like empathy nowadays.
Sure.
I think it's for a good reason. It's a buzzword. People talk about empathy, and now like he's a practicing Buddhist, and people kind of talk about these ideas. The guy lives it. The guy really, really inhabits it.
Yeah, for reference, like I've met a fair amount of like legit like hardcore Buddhists in my life, and they're pretty actively nice people. They go out of their way to be very, like you said, empathetic people, and like it's not. Trump is going to do a lot of work over the next 4 years to convince the American people that those he's deporting and removing from this country, and mind you, no due process, of course, the people whom he's targeting, he's going to try to convince his supporters and the American people at large that they are criminals, that they're dangerous, that they're bad people who did not have any reason to be here, and keeping them here is an active threat. The reality is, plenty of these people are just normal, if not exceptionally nice people that Trump is targeting. And it takes me back to that image. Who was it? Kristi Noem, the lady who like shot and killed the dog and the goat and told the whole story about it, and it like went viral recently. I say recently, like 3 years ago or something. I think she staged a photo where she got a bunch of dudes together who I don't even think they were all Latino, funnily, but they had tattoos, and some of them were like not at all badass tattoos, if you can like say speak Spanish or you know the meaning behind like the imagery. But because they were a bunch of, you know, Latino looking guys with tattoos, she got them all put together into cells to take a photo op and be like, guys, look at how many of these dangerous illegals we're deporting. Republicans consider anyone who aren't a danger to children a threat. True. If you're not a danger to children, then you're a threat to the Republicans. It's many such cases.
You know, his first kind of questions to me, like, so is your family in Israel? How are they doing?
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, that to me, that says everything. And I asked him, how's your family doing? And that was this moment of like, all right, there's going to be something here. I'm not sure how many people have seen like his interviews with 60 Minutes and whatnot, and he talks about like love and this, and he means it.
I want to get into the how where that led to, but I imagine that there's times where there's tension, there's disagreement, like rhetorical tension, or even just like facts on the ground tension. How do you?
Every single time with Mohsen where I have been nervous to bring something up, I have, and his response is incredible. So like, I mean, within the first time we met, we had a conversation about like this idea of something he wants to start, which we'll get to, and the question of BDS, which is boycott, divestment, and sanctions. And this is a kind of, for a lot of...
Yeah, like this is not someone who is dangerous. This is not someone who hated America, and it's clearly not somebody who's actually in favor of like Hamas or any of the like actual like terror groups and the genocidal groups that are in Palestine that Israel tries to like cover for their own genocide by claiming they're fighting. Like there are people in the pro-Palestine movement that are like pro-Hamas cucks. Don't get me wrong, and a lot of them are on college campuses. This guy's clearly not one of them. He sat down with an Israeli journalist to talk and was like, how's your family? Are things going well? I hope they are. Like, very friendly, very polite. This is not the kind of behavior towards anyone who is simply dares to be Israeli that a lot of the online lefty sphere will give. So it doesn't... This is not someone who is like a threat. This is not someone, despite what Trump is definitely going to try to convince people, this is not somebody who is like actively preying on the downfall of America.
Jews and Israelis, it's seen as a kind of something like, if you support it, it's a non-starter. I don't necessarily view it with such, I think there's more space and nuance to talk about that, but you know, when we're meeting it as the first time and we're getting to know each other, and he brings the BDS as his like, that's the first goal. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, like if you do that, you're gonna, like, you want to build something, you make that your cornerstone, you're gonna lose people. And what was amazing to me is we like talk probably like 15 minutes about it and really go in and explain the dynamics and the politics. And he's like, okay. Now that doesn't necessarily mean he like immediately changed his mind and doesn't agree, and he agrees with me. But he really wanted to hear it. He's really interested.
That's base.
So you mean in this?
That's base. So few people in this argument are willing to be like, okay, yeah, all right, I'll listen to what you have to say. Like, I don't have to agree with it or like even apply what you tell me, but like I'll hear you out. Like, I'm not like I know it sounds super soy to say this, but like, dude, the internet has made the environment of like any kind of political disagreement so fucking toxic. It would have been more fun, honestly. Like if I was still 19 to 22, I would be oh, hey there, big old spider. How you doing, buddy? Hey there, but there's a big old spider on my wall right now. I'm just gonna let him be because I can see it's not a black widow, so he's just out there looking for black widows and venomous spiders to get. Yeah, go get him. Go get him, little hunter. Your name is Shelob now. You're like Shelob number 500. Should I pick it up? I'm not gonna lie. I'm not really scared of spiders, but when it's just a little guy on my wall, I'm kind of scared of touching them because I'm like, I'm not that confident in my spider identification skills. Like, I'm pretty sure that's a giant house spider, but it's also kind of dark in here. Lol, nice. Yeah, that's Shelob number 500. When the real big ones, like when there's a big ass house spider in my bathroom, it earns the name Shelob. Like, I'll see it like slowly emerge from like behind like my sink, my like faucet, and it'll just be like, and it'll just look at me, and it'll just be making spider noises, I imagine. It's very tiny capacity to do so. And it's just like, wow, you really do look like you're coming out to, like, jab Frodo. Like, you would, like, eat me. You would eat me if you could. You would definitely eat me if I was small enough. Zan poisoned by spider on stream.
She gets them with their stinger. They go limp as a bone fish.
Should get a terrarium for her. I actually did capture a spider that I caught on my wall once, and it died in the jar shockingly fast. And I was like, oh my god, I gave you like a droplet of water, and I found like a little cricket outside for you to eat, and you died over. What happened? And so I was like, fuck. Alright, I guess I'm never doing that again. So now if I see a he's just going up my wall. Now if I see a spider, I just leave them alone. Well, obviously, if it's a black widow or something, I'm gonna kill its ass. You know, it's gotta go. But if it's just a big-ass, you know, house spider, they're non-venomous, and they eat venomous spiders. That's their whole diet. So they're basically, like, living in my walls, acting as, like, a inner force field against the venomous spiders that, you know, creep and crawl outdoors, keeping them from getting into my house. So you do your good work. You keep you're big. You've eaten a lot of black widows, clearly. You have either hobo spiders or house spiders. They have a symbiotic relationship with humans. Yeah, I'd say they're house spiders, by the way. Yeah, me and my house spiders have a very symbiotic relationship. They're so chill. Don't feel too bad, Zan. Most spiders live about 2 years. Yeah, she was big. She might have just died of old age in that jar. She came to say hi to me and then, like, die. You didn't close the lid, did you? It didn't have a lid. It was open on the top. It just couldn't, like, it was glass, so it couldn't climb out. Just remember, it's all fun and games till Australians come with the spider story. What a crazy way for the segment to derail with the spider appearance. You know what? The craziest thing, I forgot about this, but this happened. I'm going to end the segment with this one, because it's kind of the only thing I can think of as a palate cleanser to this situation. On one of my last days in Florida before I moved to California, I was live streaming, and out of nowhere, a lizard jumped out of nowhere. A lizard jumped from my desk or somewhere off camera onto my shirt. I had my window open, so I'm guessing a lizard climbed into up my wall and into my room. Because they're all over the place in Florida, little anole lizards. Like, if you leave your window open, they'll come inside. But a little anole lizard, just came right on in through the window, jumped on my shirt mid-live stream. I think I was talking about, like some drama involving Lindsay Ellis or something, if I remember right. And a lizard just jumps on me. I'm like, guys. And the chat's, like, freaking out, like, what the fuck, you know? And I'm like, okay, I need to catch this lizard. And so I spent, like, the next 10 minutes running around my room trying to catch the lizard until I eventually did. It was very funny. Yeah, it was very, very funny. Very old Zan meme was the lizard appearance that happened, but it was a funny one. Anyway, guys, hopefully the funny lizard story is a nice little palate cleanser to this awful situation. Trump is a nightmare. The sad thing is that you don't get to openly protest and speak out against what's going on right now in this country, because that was not... I think a lot of people who are like, the Democrats and the Republicans just as bad, I don't think they realize just how bad the Republicans really are. And the goal of the Republicans has always been to achieve what they have achieved. They are uncontested, and their goal is to destroy all of the rights, all of the laws, and all of the institutions that back up your ability to protest and speak out against what's happening. It's not just that we're all going to suffer, it's that they expect us to suffer and pretend to be happy about it. I'm telling you guys, ICE is evil, Trump is evil. I hope America figures that out. I hate that America voted for Trump because they wanted this. I don't know what we're going to do. The most I can think to do is hopefully to educate Americans about the fact that immigrants are not hurting our country, though it might just take learning the hard way. It might just take learning the hard way, and that's just 4 years of Trump destroying the economy and destroying America overall with terrible immigration policy. We'll just have to see how it goes. Anyway, if you enjoyed this segment, if you found it entertaining, educational, or enjoyable in any way, then please consider leaving a like on the stream or on the video. Every thumbs up forces YouTube to push my comments or my content in the algorithm, and you should comment down below as well if you want to make sure YouTube boosts the channel as well. Likes and comments are the best way, so I really do appreciate it. And of course, don't forget, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon if you haven't done so already, and follow my social medias linked down below in the description. They are very fun to follow. I've got lots of good posts there. You know, my Blue Sky is going to be popping off soon enough. I've been meaning to start posting there more, and it seems like it's getting more active, so I'll probably do that. But most notably, make sure you join my fan Discord. It is the main hub of my community and fan base. And not just that, I host gaming events, call-in streams, watch parties, and on top of that, movie nights, which I'll be doing tonight after stream. Every week on Fridays. So if you don't want to miss anything, make sure you join the Discord. It is the place to be. And of course, if you want to support me directly, you want to help keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, Patreon, or even better, if you want to get yourself some merch instead of just donating, you can buy yourself a Xander Hall shirt, mug, hat. I got all sorts of merch out there. I even have an I Was Radicalized by Minecraft t-shirt that I think just goes absurdly hard if you know the backstory behind it. Regardless though, no matter how you support me, thank you so much for watching. As always, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you again.